Here's my review of Predator Badlands. Now, this is a movie that personally I had a ton of fun with, but I could see why someone would just not like this movie because it is so tonally different from what you'd expect from a Predator movie. Where I'm just going to call it what it is. This is a basically a buddy action movie. This is like a buddy comedy action movie. And I think that's just going to throw a lot of people off. And for me, I personally had a blast with this movie because I've said for a long time with any franchise, I think it's good to explore different genres. Like, for example, I had a really fun time with this movie. I don't want the next movie to have this same kind of comedic tone or the same kind of vibe, but maybe in another 3 movies, you could do it. Because what this movie is about is a lone predator, Deck, who is basically the weakest of his clan. And the movie starts out with him fighting his brother, and he loses. His brother has to save him, and they report back to his father. And because of how weak Deck is, his brother is forced to kill him, but his brother refuses to do it, and then his brother gets killed. And because of that, and because his brother both showed, we found out that his brother was actually meant to kill him, and he wanted to toughen him up, but because he refused to kill his brother, his father kills his brother. And it just kind of shows this, like, it just explores more of this lore and this brutal culture that I just found to be really fascinating. And in order to prove himself, Deck he escapes through a pod and goes to a dangerous planet in order to hunt, because they established this one planet that even his father is afraid of what lives there. And he's like, I will kill it and I will prove myself. And that's fascinating. Right off the bat with this movie, when he lands on this planet, it's so like interesting because it's filled with so many dangerous creatures, like these alien like plants trying to kill you, or even little like plants that shoot out poison that will paralyze you. And there's just every little nook and cranny of this world seems fascinating and deadly. And I just thought it was really compelling. I was just having such a fun time with it. And that's when we get to when Deck meets Thea, who I think is really going to be something that will probably make or break this movie for you. Because Thea, who is a Weyland-Yutani synthetic who's broken apart, is, for lack of a better term, I mean, she's just kind of intentionally annoying. Like, she's exploring, like, this world. Like, once she basically tells Deck what to do, how to defeat this one creature, or, like, it's like navigating through this world, he picks her up, and he realized he could utilize her as a tool. And it's very fascinating because just the way, like, at first he just rejects her. He's like, no, the Yautja hunt alone. But she just kind of brings up this thing. He's like, well, the Yautja are allowed to use tools, right? Think of me as a tool. And that's just a really clever way to just, like, explain why they are together and not make this feel, like, cheap. And I just found their dynamic to just be so much fun. I saw some people get really mad about this movie of seeing the Predator with a gun. I personally, like I said, I'm not like a super hardcore Predator fan, so I didn't really care. But it could bother some people. It does look a little jarring, but it wasn't the end of the world for me. But to me, just what makes this movie so much fun is not only obviously the dynamic between Thea and Deck, but just every single little organism. Like there's a grass that is just glass and just pierces you as you walk through it. And every little creature is just so deadly and fascinating. Like this like mammoth-like creature. It just allows the whole world to feel so grand in scale. And because our characters, I feel like because this is our first Predator movie where the Predator is like a main character, in many ways, it makes him feel more human. Like, yes, this is a Predator who I guess has daddy issues, and that might just bother people. It just might not sit well with people. This is a movie where we're seeing almost a more like it's established that that Deck is the weakest in his clan, And we found out that, like, he's a lot shorter, he's a lot smaller than everyone else in his clan. It established him basically as just a weaker main character, and I think that might just turn some people off. But for me, I'm like, it allows for a fascinating story. And I know people are mad about like the PG-13 rating, but when you watch the movie, it is still very violent and filled with tons of action. But there's just no red blood. Because why would there be? These are aliens, these aren't humans, these are other organisms. There's tons of awesome action and fights, but the predators have green blood. Like, you see a lot of brutal stuff, like there's decapitations and stuff like that, but these are not humans. So it's still very violent, and I think that, which is good, which just makes it a very fun action movie. And it just allows for something to be different, and I personally just really appreciated it. But I think that this movie I think is really going, like, if you're going to enjoy it, you have to enjoy the dynamic between Deck and Thea, because they're so, like if you find Thea annoying, which at points I do, I think you could just hate this movie, because it is a lot of, like, banter between the two of them. But I just found it to be fascinating. I found this world to be engaging. Each little area, nook and cranny, I wanted to see, like, ooh, what's over there? What deadly creature's over there? Oh, Thea's sister? What's going on with her down here, who is basically the main villain? But what our main goal is, though, is how Deck wants to kill this, like, alien called the Callus, because even his dad is afraid of it. And so we're on this central, like, it's really just like almost like a road trip buddy comedy. It's just so weird about it. So looking for this Callus so Deck can prove himself. And I just found it to just be really fun in his interactions between him and Thea. And of course, we find out that Thea has a sister. And there's just a bunch of little things to this movie that just I found to be so much fun. And I think because we get to know Deck as a person, and because, like I said, this is a more vulnerable character, this is a more vulnerable predator, and because at the beginning we see how his father basically sent him to be murdered, we see, like, when he actually confronts against his father, he feels personal. And all that stuff feels so weird because, like I said, when you're talking about a Predator movie, in many ways it is just very not really complex. Maybe the appeal of the Predator is it is just this ruthless killing machine with no morals, just kind of nothing. That's all it cares about. And in many ways, that is what Deck cares about. Like, the Deck is in no way, like, he's still awesome. He still is brutal. He still cares about killing. But it's almost, he just wants to prove himself to be, in many ways, the best killer. And that's why it makes almost this confrontation against his dad to just be even cooler. So yeah, I think that this is a movie that I personally had a blast with it, but I can understand why it's just not going to be for everyone. It is very tonally different. It is very funny. The action's awesome, but I think many people might just be pulled out by, it's like, oh, there are scenes where Predator's talking about his daddy issues. That's just annoying. And I get that, but for me, I'm always looking for like these franchises to explore different genres. And this was just something so different, and I dug that. You still get the awesome, brutal action. You get expansion on the lore, but I think that maybe for most people, they might just not like the tonal shift. And I get that. But for me, I had an absolute blast with it. I think that the action was awesome. The characters were so much fun. And it's just the world itself, this planet that they're on, is just so deadly and dangerous. It just feels so compelling. And it even has a great dynamic between Thea and, like, her twin sister, Robot Girl. There's just so much here that I personally just had a blast with it. But it's not going to be for everyone.